Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today coming to you from Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. Today is during Ramadan, and so this cannon that you see, it will fire in just a moment. As soon as the sun sets, the sun is over there right now. As soon as the sun sets, that'll mark the end of the fasting, where you stop eating all day. And so this cannon will signal that iftar is beginning, which means that it's time to eat your meal. And so we'll watch this cannon fire in just a little bit at the end of the video. But first, I have kind of an unusual video for you guys. Let me sit down. An unusual video, because I don't normally do question and answer videos. But I got a special request from some school kids back in my home area, back in North Dakota, Minnesota, and they had a few questions for me. A few questions about the travel lifestyle. These are a whole bunch of kids that are maybe 10 years old, 11 years old. You guys know who you are, you're probably watching it. And so they sent me this whole list of questions. I haven't actually looked at them yet. I haven't like studied them, but this was the questions. And so we'll go through them. We'll answer some of these questions from some of these kids. By the way, this is the Burj Khalifa, which literally means building Khalifa. It is the world's tallest building. It's 828 meters, which is about half a mile tall. Anyway, so some of these questions. Okay, I'll see if I can get a good order for it. One of the first questions is, if you could pick your name, what would you pick your name to be? And that is a very, very good question. You know, my name is Brayden, right? And sometimes Brayden can be hard to pronounce in many countries. For instance, when I go to Africa or also in Asia, that just saying the name Brayden is kind of difficult. So usually when I'm in Africa, I tell people that my name is Luke instead. Luke is my middle name. And so Luke is a pretty easy way. I can just say like, Luke. It's the same idea. But if I could pick my name, actually, I kind of pick my name differently depending on which country I go to. When I'm in India, those friends, they actually call me, Gora. And when I travel in Africa, a lot of people will call me Mzungu, which means foreigner. And so also when I'm in Iceland, my name is Bjorn amongst my friends. Bjorn means bear. But yeah, so if you could pick your name, that's actually a very good question. Okay, another one. Where are you from? I am from the very, if you imagine like the US like this, I'm from the state of Minnesota. So I live in the center, exactly up at the top. My hometown is called Thief River Falls. Yes, that's a real place, Thief River Falls. And my home is maybe 1 hour away from the Canadian border. So I live very close to Canada. The next question is, why do you want to be an explorer? It's a good question. Why does anybody want to be an explorer? You know, it could partly be because of where I'm from. The place of the United States where I'm from is very, very flat. I'm also almost from the exact geographical center of North America. So it's very flat, super, super flat. It gets super cold. We have no mountains, we have no oceans. And so that being said, I think there's something inside of people, especially like where I'm from, that we really want to go see something new. We want to go see the ocean. We want to go see the beach. We want to go see some huge mountain ranges. We want to go see lots of diversity. And so maybe it could be partly because of where I'm from. But I think really the most important thing is amongst any people that I know that travel, it usually comes from inside of you. It's because you want to travel. It's because you want to embrace new cultures. You want to meet new people. You want to experience new lifestyles. You want to try eating new things. You always want to do it because of yourself. And so the question is to you, do you like traveling? I mean, do you want to explore new places? Because if you have that curiosity, it's inside of you and you have everything that you need. That's all you need. Really, when you decide to travel, 90% of the battle is just deciding that you are going to do it. The rest of the 10% of the way to figure out the details, the logistics, it'll figure itself out. It's never a problem. Let's see, one of the next questions is, what are some of the coolest things that you've learned about a place Oh yeah, what are some of the coolest things you've learned about the places you visited? Some of the coolest things that I've learned have been that the world is not as normal as we all imagine, which sounds like a funny idea. But if you imagine like your home, you know, how, if I can say boring, how boring home is, that is very interesting to some other people. Because, for example, the way that we live in the United States, where we have, funny enough, we have toilets inside, where we have a comfy bed to sleep on, where the walls are made out of wood, maybe the walls are made out of steel, maybe they're made out of bricks, because that's not normal on other sides of the planet. For example, in the center of Africa, in Uganda or Tanzania, the western part of Tanzania, that the people live instead in mud huts, or they hunt zebras, and that to them is boring, and that's normal. Or you go to Siberia, where people raise horses just so they can eat the horses. You have to use outdoor plumbing because your pipe would freeze. You have to, I mean, there's so many different layers of what normal is in the world. And so what you probably think might be boring at home is actually probably quite interesting to a lot of other people. And so in the reverse, that's kind of how I see it. I go to some places and it's really, really fascinating to see how people live life in such normal ways. It's a really interesting idea. Let's see, another one. How do you decide where to go? That's a question that still I try to decide. I'm still trying to figure that out. That usually I have no idea where to go. I get so overwhelmed by all the opportunities, so many different places that you can go to, that it can be kind of difficult. And it ties in line with one of the other questions, which was like, how do you decide what to do? And when I started traveling, I started making a bucket list. Okay, so I made this one page, and it was very simply saying, like, go scuba diving, go skydiving, you know, some very simple things. And I realized that as I started doing them, that when I did one thing, that it would expand into 20 other things. If I started scuba diving, then, oh, okay, now I want to go scuba diving in shipwrecks. Now I want to go scuba diving with sharks. Oh, and now I want to go scuba diving, you know, like, to go hang out with octopus. I want to go scuba diving and doing this and this and this and this. And there's so many different layers of it. But then also when you go to a place, even if I just wrote down to go see the Burj Khalifa, that now I come to the UAE, I come to Dubai, and now there's so many other things I want to see. I want to go see, for example, I don't know if you can see it back here, the Dubai Mall. The Dubai Mall is the world's largest mall. It's 4 times bigger than the Mall of America, which is, even I get lost there. We have the Burj Fountains, the world's largest fountains. You want to go see that. You want to go see the world's deepest pool. You want to go see, I mean, for every single one country that you go to, it expands into like 50 more things that you want to go visit. And that's my problem. My bucket list is not 1 page anymore. My bucket list is now about 36 pages. And even though I travel so much, I've been to maybe 120 countries now in the last 5 years, I still have way too much to do. Way too much to do. It's almost difficult. And the other problem that I discovered is that as one of the next questions is that it was asking, do you make new friends? Yeah, I make too many new friends. Because if you're genuine, you're honest, if you're a good person and you want to have a good connection with somebody, usually they want the same thing for you. You know, if a guest came to your home and they asked, can you show me what it's like to eat your normal food? And what is what is it like when you go to church? That for all of these things, you'd be interested to show them what your way of life is like. And so if you go somewhere with genuine interest and you really want to be a good person, then a lot of the times you meet a lot of other good people. And 99.9% of the people in the world are really good people. Please trust me when I say that. Because really at the end of the day, everybody just wants to be happy. They want their kids to be happy. They want to be comfortable and safe at home. And that's really all that anybody asks for in life. But yeah, so I make so many new friends. And the problem is that when you make friends, you want to go revisit your friends. And nowadays, despite traveling so much, it's actually kind of hard for me to go to new countries, because usually I end up going back to the same countries multiple times. For example, here in the UAE, I've been here maybe 5 times this year already. I've been to, I think, Germany like 8 times, Lithuania like 6 times, Thailand, I've been there like 6 or 7 times. And so all of these countries, you just keep going back and back and back and back, and then there's no time to go to new countries. But I think it's a good problem, because you become really connected to the place. You crave the food, you miss seeing the people, you miss certain things. Let's see. Okay, we gotta keep going because as soon as the sun sets, then this cannon will shoot off. Okay. Have you been to New Zealand? No, I have not been to New Zealand. And I see the other one is, have you been to Australia? I have not been to these ones yet. I think it could partly be because a lot of the traveling that I did was during COVID. And because of this, a lot of these, I don't want to say fancy countries, but European countries were closed. And so during that time, I spent a lot of my time in the second and third world. So this is places like the Middle East, in Africa, and countries that people don't usually go to. And I found that's what I really enjoy. I really enjoy those places. And so nowadays, actually, the few countries that I haven't been to are actually really funny ones. I've never been, believe this, I've never been to Sweden. I've never been to Czech Republic. I've never been to Portugal. I've never been to Australia, never to New Zealand. I've never been to Fiji. I've never been to Malta. I've never been to Croatia. Like so many of these countries that I haven't been to. Oh, but I've been to Afghanistan, Sudan, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, you know, all these kinds of countries. Okay, let's see. How long have you been traveling? I've been traveling for, in May, it'll be 5 years. How has this affected you? It has affected me in the way that it's the greatest book. Traveling teaches you the greatest lessons in life. It really does. That you become such a cultured person, and you start to have so much respect for the people around the world. You start to have respect for every single person that you meet. You become really intimately connected with every place. You know where some of the best places are on the planet. But equally, you really start to learn more about yourself. You start to learn about what home means to you. You start to appreciate going back home. You start to see the small things that you never noticed before. It's really complicated. I don't know how to describe it, but traveling is like, it's like when you go to the library and you see all these, you know, huge tomes of books. You see so many books. Traveling is like every single day I'm pulling out a new book and having a new story, because for me that's how I travel. That every day it's a new adventure, a new story. Maybe one day you start learning a new language. Maybe the next day I do underwater basket weaving. Then for me, a normal day in my life, for example, last summer I went to Guatemala in the center of America, Central America. I went to Guatemala to go hike up to a high altitude lake, to go scuba diving into this lake, and I brought an egg with me. I put the egg inside the volcano to boil an egg off of a volcano while scuba diving. And that's just like a normal activity for my life. And so this is what traveling is like, that a lot of the time you're put into a new situation, a new place, a new circumstance, where either you want to or you're forced to do something new. And I think that's really a beautiful thing. Because you get so much experience, you start to learn so much about life. You live such a good, full life. And so that's how it's affected me. What is the hottest place you've traveled to? That's a very good question. Today it's a little hot in the UAE. Today it's 30 Celsius, so this is like 88, maybe 85, something like this. So today is kind of hot, but it's not the hottest place I've been to. The hottest place that I've been to has actually been in the United States. It was actually in California at Death Valley. On one of those dates, it was one of the hottest dates that they've had, within 10 degrees. I think it was like 126 when I was there, 126 Fahrenheit, which is like, it's coming up on maybe about 50 Celsius. But the coldest place is probably more interesting for me. I've been to the coldest inhabited place on the planet, and let me tell you, that was a crazy adventure. It's way too much to explain, so maybe I'll put the link up here for what that video was like, because I made a few videos what life is like there. It was, in Fahrenheit, it's minus 72. So Celsius minus 54. It's so cold. It's so cold, I couldn't even wear glasses outside. The metal will freeze to your face within 2 minutes. Imagine that kind of place. That kind of place where, also I saw this other question was like, what's one of the most interesting foods you've had? That's where I've had the most interesting food. Actually by force, not because I really wanted it. There in Siberia, believe this, they raise horses just so they can eat them. They raise horses just to eat them, and they actually eat not just the meat, they actually eat also the intestines, because it's so bad for you that your stomach has to work overtime to digest it. But when your stomach is working hard, it's creating extra body heat. and that's how they survive in this place. And so when I go there, there's no Lay's potato chips. I don't have all the common things that you can normally find. And so equally when I go there, just like everybody else, I'm forced to eat it as well. And let me report to you that horse intestine tastes very gummy. It's very rubbery. And I think in my entire travels, I've gotten food poisoning only 4 times. Let's see. How do you pay for it all? That is a good question. And let me tell you that everybody asks it. Everybody asks that question. How do you pay for it? How do you pay for it? Okay, so first thing I need to say is that we live, if I'm talking to the school kids, that in the United States, we live in an expensive economy. Things are more expensive in the United States than other parts of the world. For example, if you're in Africa or some parts of the Middle East, the prices of things are completely different. For example, for us, a Big Mac in the United States for McDonald's is maybe like, I don't know, $5. But in the Middle East, you'll probably find it for about $1.50. Same thing for a can of Coke. A can of Coke is maybe $2 for us. In many parts of the world, though, I see it for 10 cents, 15 cents. And that's just because the cost of living is completely different in these places. And so if I spend a lot of my time in the second to the third world, then we can do some calculations. Living in the United States is going to be more expensive. But if you live in other parts of the world, you can live for only $20 a day, maybe $30 a day. I think in the United States, it's probably at least $100 a day. And so that being said, the way that I pay for it is actually kind of interesting because primarily I'm a pianist, right? And so I used to play a lot of piano concerts around the world, but now I also do a lot of it by fixing pianos. So I work as a piano technician. Let's see. Some of the cannon will go off in about 5 minutes here. So I gotta go quick. Where do you recommend people to go? My favorite countries, I'm gonna go quick. My favorite countries are Tunisia, Turkey. I love going to Thailand. I spend a lot of my time in the Middle East and in Dubai. It's a very beautiful country. I recommend people to go to Slavic countries. I recommend people to go to Iceland. Iceland is absolutely beautiful. You should definitely go there. Do you have a girlfriend? No, I do not have a girlfriend. If I had a girlfriend, if I had a partner, it would be completely impossible to travel as much as I do. I don't think they'd let me travel that much. Let's see. How do you afford this? We've answered that one. Have you ever been in a dangerous situation? Yes. Oh, the lights are on. Yes, I have been in a handful of dangerous situations. Way too many, actually. One time I was arrested in Afghanistan on accusation of being a spy. I was in Sudan when the entire currency collapsed and I got stuck in the middle of a coup. I actually got COVID at the same time. I'm banned from 1 or 2 countries. I've been to many countries during their protests. I've been to just lots and lots and lots of crazy things. But the important thing is that sometimes, even when you're in paradise, you can have a bad day in paradise. And so the bad days in paradise should never dissuade you. Even if you have a bad day, it makes the better days all the better. Let's see. Where is the coldest place you've been? That is Omyokon in Siberia, where it's, again, -72. How are people different? That is a very good question. A very, very good question. Because equally how life is very different in other parts of the world, people are also very different, if we're talking strictly about people. For example, people where I'm from Minnesota, from North Dakota, my heritage is half Norwegian, half German. But, and so that being said, you know, a lot of people where we live, we kind of know what they look like. In Yakutsk, the people have evolved differently because of the conditions. Because it's so cold, those people have evolved to be shorter. And so they're only about this tall to me. Their fingers are very thick. They have the very thick body because they need to keep that body heat. But equally, in the center of Africa, in Sudan, in South Sudan, it's so hot there that the people have evolved to be taller. And so you get the Dinka people, the Dinka tribe, that those people are 7 feet tall. That's like, I'm only looking at their shoulders. And their fingers are very long and skinny to help get the body heat off. And so people are actually different around the world. Let's see, some other questions. I gotta rush. The cannons are about to go off. How many stamps do you have in your passport? Too many. I've gone through 3 passports. At this point, that must be, because it's not only going to 120 countries, it's going to 120 countries multiple times sometimes. And so I'd say that I easily have at least 300 stamps, at least. probably more. How do you cope with the different climates? You as Minnesotans, you shouldn't be asking me this question because we have a saying in Minnesota. It's a Swedish and Norwegian saying that there's no such thing as bad weather. There's only bad clothes. And so I believe in the exact same thing. If I go to Siberia, if you're dressed appropriately for it, it's okay. I never had a problem. I never got frostbite. For me, it's actually just more difficult when it gets super hot because you can always add layers, but you can't always take them off. Do you keep in touch with people that you meet on your travels? Yes, all the time, and I become really good friends with them a lot of the time. And what is your favorite food from a different country? My favorite foods are from Egypt, koshari. Another favorite food would be Ethiopian food is very, very good. Ukraine has my favorite food. Oh, every single thing. I will eat anything that comes out of Ukraine. It is all so, so good. Another country, Kyrgyzstan. Kyrgyzstan has amazing food. They have fried bread, and they also have like noodles with horse meat in it. These are all very good things. And I'll go with the last one. What is your favorite part of traveling? My favorite part of traveling is being curious, exploring, meeting new people. You know, whatever they say about how curiosity killed the cat, that's not true. Curiosity gave the cat its wings. Curiosity is the best thing you can do in life. If you find what your curiosity is and you explore it, you'll always be rewarded for it. Really, truly. It's a very good thing to be curious and have good dreams and good hopes about other people in the world. And so, yeah, I'll wrap it up there. My favorite part about traveling is waking up every day, being excited to travel, being happy, being very happy with what I do, being happy to see something new. And so I'll leave it there. Thank you again for the questions, guys. As always, if you guys have more questions, you can throw them down in the comments. I'll try to answer them again in some other future video. But for now, I think that wraps up a lot of it. Okay, keep studying, guys. Thank you for the questions. Enjoy the cold at home for me, and I'll see you guys later. All right, let's go watch the cannon.
व्हाइट व्हाइट दिख रहा है, देखो बिल्डिंग का ग्लास।